Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Note to Self. Today, I want to share about how grief is a portal, not a problem. My intention for this episode today is that it supports you in understanding your grief to a new level and understanding your grief not as a problem to fix, but a portal to healing and evolution. So, wherever you are at in your journey and whenever you might be grieving at the time of listening to this episode, I just want you to know that my heart is with you. I'm sending you so much love, and I know what it's like to lose someone very close to you. In the recent times, I have lost my older brother, and grief has been, I'll say, a beautiful journey, even though it's been devastatingly heartbreaking. There have been beautiful things that I have learned, grown, and evolved into. So I'm setting that tone for this episode today is to support you in understanding it to a deeper level and starting to shift into noticing the gifts and the opportunities that come from navigating grief. So, wherever you are in your grief, you're not broken, you are evolving. Grief is not just emotional, but it is deeply metaphysical. It touches the body, the energy field, the nervous system, the spiritual self. It's like a sacred wildfire. It feels like pure destruction, but it clears space for something truer to grow, a more authentic version of the self. And I heard this quote and I want to share it with you today. It's that grief rearranges the furniture of your soul. Nothing remains where it once was. So you are still you, but you are a different version of you. And ultimately, what I like to believe is that life is always happening for us. So the deeper lessons and integrations that come from grief are things that are going to serve us living a more expanded, fulfilling life, even if we can't see that yet. Harnessing beliefs such as this will support you tremendously in your life because you will begin to lean into faith and trust versus feeling lost or like a victim to circumstance. So, let's get into the physical body's grief response to understand it better. So grief affects the body in very deep ways. It can cause fatigue, immune dysregulation, a tight chest, disrupted sleep. I know that I personally experienced all of this when my brother first passed. For the first 2 weeks, I felt extremely exhausted. I felt tremendous brain fog, like I couldn't think clearly. But again, this is just a part of the process of grief or experiencing trauma such as that. Studies also show that grief can raise inflammation markers and mimic symptoms of chronic illness. So you could feel completely debilitated, especially if that grief has come with a state of shock or an experience of shock. When these deeper feelings and emotions process through the body, they can take a lot of energy. And that's why we can be left feeling absolutely exhausted. So imagine perhaps your body as a tuning fork. Loss strikes it hard, and the vibration echoes through every layer. As it is echoing, it's clearing, but it's going to touch on all different levels of the self. What's interesting too is that the body often holds onto what the mind can't yet process. And for me, what I notice and what I want to acknowledge here is that through the loss of my brother, there were actually suppressed levels of grief from the past that started to move through me at the same time of these past couple of months of navigating this loss. So the example that I'm going to give you today is that my birth mother, she is still alive, but I haven't had a relationship with her since I was about 15 years old. And that's around the last time that I saw her. And it was almost like I never allowed myself to grieve the loss of her because she's still on this planet. She's still out there walking around, but I don't have a relationship with her. And in the loss of my brother, who has crossed over to the other side, it's like as soon as I've opened up this grief portal, it's allowed me to grieve the loss of my mother, her not being present in my life. And this has been one of the gifts through very challenging times. And even though it's been very uncomfortable grieving and feeling extreme heaviness and intense sadness and emotions, I know that it's clearing things out that had actually been under the surface that I just wasn't able to bring awareness to yet. I wasn't able to process these things without being fully cracked open. So let's talk a little bit next about the energetic imprint of loss. I'm going to specifically talk about how grief affects our chakras and our energy system. So naturally, it affects the heart chakra. Constriction or pain might be feelings that you feel in your chest as you are navigating grief, whether that's, a couple of weeks or a couple of months. That can become a familiar feeling as you are processing loss. Root chakra, the place of safety and stability, naturally gets shaken up with loss, especially because loss can feel like the rug is being pulled out underneath us. It can literally feel like our 2 feet were planted on the ground in one moment and then we're flat on the floor. And again, I just want to speak into these things to validate the emotions, because when we acknowledge and validate what we are experiencing, especially through grief, we can start to just sigh relief. We're not alone in these feelings. Loss happens every day in our world in a multitude of different ways. And the more intimate, comfortable, or connected we can begin to become with this experience, we support ourselves in our healing journey. So next, the crown chakra. This is often blown wide open, leading to a spiritual awakening or existential questioning. In a recent episode of Note to Self, I dove right into existential angst. So if you haven't checked out that episode, I would recommend it if existential questioning is something that you're presently navigating. But for me, I feel like I was already a deeply spiritual person before my brother passing, and having those belief systems, having faith, having trust in the universe and God allowed for a savior in moments of extreme discomfort. That's what I'm going to call it. It's allowed for light to come through. But even if you are navigating grief and you wouldn't really consider yourself too much of a spiritual person, trust whatever is coming to you now. Like if you see signs that you feel like are from that person that's perhaps on the other side now, trust it. Let yourself be guided and led into whatever awakening is meant to happen for you, to support you. So when someone we love leaves the physical plane, our energy recalibrates to the absence. It's like trying to walk after losing your balance or completely falling flat on the floor. And I created a YouTube video not too long ago where I addressed the loss of my brother, and I talked about the void, that there was this space where my older brother was and now he's not, right? He was physically in this world and now he's not. And that empty space, that void, felt very energetic, very spiritual. It has felt like it's been this place that draws out the emotions from me to heal, to transmute, to process. So again, just acknowledge the void of when someone who is physically present in your life, in my life, leaves, that it leaves a space, and we have to become comfortable with that void. We have to honor that void. We have to make peace with that void. And that can take time to find balance again. So I want to introduce the idea that on a soul level, grief invites us into growth, expansion, and a deeper purpose for life. Many spiritual traditions speak of grief as a rite of passage, a form of ego death that births the true self. It clearly opens the heart in paradoxical ways. It breaks us wide open. It does not close us. For me, when my brother first passed, it literally felt like my heart break open. And I felt like even though I was heartbroken, I found a whole new depth in my capacity to love my family, my partner, Charlie, our little dash hound, my clients. I just felt like, oh my gosh, I love everyone in my life so much, and I want everyone to know that. It was like a whole new capacity of feeling. So perhaps think about it like this. Grief is a thunderstorm that softens the soil of the soul so that new seeds can take root. Again, think about grief as a rite of passage, an initiation. It can feel like a storm, but it's laying a new foundation for a more authentic, true version of yourself. And if your heart's cracking wide open, you're getting to know yourself better than you ever have before. So this is truth. So when it comes to healing beyond the surface, because as I've just been acknowledging and validating, grief affects us on so many different levels. Here are a couple of practices that can integrate grief holistically. Nervous system regulation is huge. Breath work, somatic work, meditation, just allowing yourself to process the feelings and letting yourself know that you're safe. I also created a recent episode on when the future feels scary, how to find safety after loss, where I go deep into different practices that you can do and how to actually let your body know that you're safe, even while you're navigating the extreme discomforts of loss. Another thing that you can do is create a ritual, perhaps writing letters to this person or creating some sort of symbolic closure for yourself, whatever feels comfortable and honoring to you. Another thing is to focus on your spiritual connection. Again, grief can awaken us in so many different ways. It can feel like we can be blasted wide open. Meditation can be incredibly supportive for this. Prayer, and are trusting those signs and synchronicities from beyond. So know that time alone doesn't heal, presence does. So the deeper that you're willing to feel, the more fully you will heal. So think about the example that I provided for you with my mother. I didn't have the capacity to feel, to heal that until the loss of my brother. And perhaps there's other layers that I haven't met yet. But again, the ability to be present with these emotions that flow through us allows for a greater level of healing to happen within ourselves. And you might just be surprised at what comes up. And what I've known to be true is that on the other side of a deep emotional purge or a deep cry, let's say, is that there will be clarity. There will be intuitive messages. There will be little like sparkly kind of goosebumps that make me feel like my brother is there or my grandfather who passed away is there. I have felt very mystical type moments and experiences on the other side of choosing to honor what was coming up to be released. So In conclusion, I want you to know that you are becoming through this experience. Grief transforms identity. Who we are now is different than who we were before. Who we were before the loss is not who we become after loss. And I'm sure that you've heard this quote, but if not, I'm sharing it again, or just as your gentle reminder, that grief is love with nowhere to go until we learn to channel it into something sacred. So just know that the emotions, even though they can feel deeply uncomfortable, it's love. It's showing you how deeply this person meant to you. It's showing you how deeply you care about this life and the people in your life. So know that you're not alone, and know that the healing journey is not linear, but it is sacred. It is sacred for you to be a vessel to experience love in this form, for you to crack wide open and to evolve and transform through this. So be gentle with yourself and trust that life is still holding you. God, source, universe is still holding you, even when you feel broken down or worn down. I hope this episode supported you today. And if you're ever interested in coaching, I would absolutely love to support you. I offer personalized programs, which can be accessed through the link below. And I look forward to hearing from you. If you feel like my words resonate with you, my messages resonate with you, and you feel like there's things that you would like to work through or dive into, know that I would be more than happy to support you along your journey, and it would be an honor to work with you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, and I hope that this message touched your heart.